My name is Jack Holden, and I'm 35 years old. I was married to my wife, Lily, for 6 years. She's 32 but could easily pass for someone in her mid-20s, stunning, charming, and full of life. At least that's what I used to believe. We didn't have kids. I was ready, but she wasn't. Soon, Jack, I promise, she'd say with that sweet smile that used to melt me. Our life was great, but that wasn't even the best part. The best part was how she made me feel. Her kisses, the way she'd suddenly pull me into a hug, the way she laughed at my dumb jokes. Every time I held her, I felt at peace, like everything in the world was finally okay. I thought she felt the same way. Apparently, I was a fool. Her betrayal turned my love into something cold and vengeful. People say the opposite of love is indifference, but that's not true for me. Instead, it's this deep, burning rage that keeps me awake at night. If she were on fire, I wouldn't even spit on her to put it out. You're probably wondering how I got here, how a devoted husband became a man plotting his wife's downfall. It all started at the company Christmas party last year. Lily always dressed to impress at these events. She had a way of turning heads, and I admit, a part of me liked it. I'd watch other men admire her and think, yeah, that's my wife. But that night, something felt off. She wore a sleek black dress that hugged her body in all the right places, maybe a little too much. I couldn't help but wonder who she was really trying to impress. As we were getting ready, I told her, "Look, Lily, these parties get wild. People drink too much, and lines get crossed. Just don't do anything that would make me look stupid, okay?" She laughed. "Jack, come on. I love you, you know that. Stop being so serious." I didn't push it. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. When we arrived at the party, the first person to greet us was her boss, Tim Mason. Tim is the kind of guy who's always this close to crossing the line, tall, confident, and full of himself. He's the VP of the company and acts like he owns the world. His wife stopped coming to these events years ago, probably sick of his behavior. "Lily," he said, ignoring me completely as he took her hand. "You look stunning tonight." I wanted to knock the smug look off his face right then and there, but Lily just gave me her usual relax, Jack glance. Tim hovered around her all night, finding excuses to touch her arm or lean in too close. I kept telling myself it was nothing. Lily wasn't like that. She would never disrespect me like that. Would she? At some point, I lost track of her. I had been chatting with some guys, trying to blend in and not obsess over where Lily was or who she was with. But then, her friend Rachel approached me. "Hey, Jack, have you seen Lily?" she asked. She was dancing with Tim earlier, but I haven't seen her in a while. Something about the way Rachel looked at me, like she knew something but didn't want to say it, made my stomach twist. I started searching for Lily. At first, I told myself I was just being paranoid. But then I heard it. Muffled voices. A woman's voice, breathy and unmistakable. I opened the door. There she was, bent over a desk, her black dress bunched up around her hips. And there he was.
Tim.
His smirk vanished the second he saw me. For a moment, I just stood there frozen. My chest felt like it was caving in. "Oh my God, Jack, let me explain," Lily stammered, scrambling to pull her dress down. "You've got nothing to explain," I said, my voice ice cold. "You're done. We're done." Tim straightened up, trying to play it cool. "Look, man, let's not overreact." I cut him off. "Shut up. You think I don't know what kind of snake you are? You've been sniffing around her for years. And you," I turned to Lily, who couldn't even meet my eyes. "You let him." Tim tried to act tough, stepping toward me like he was going to intimidate me. Bad move. Before he could say another word, I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the wall.
He wasn't so cocky then.
"Listen, you piece of garbage," I growled. "You're going to regret this. Not just tonight. Every single day for the rest of your miserable life." I didn't punch him. That would have been too easy. Instead, I slapped him.
Hard.
Over and over until his smug grin turned into tears. By the time I was done, he was crumpled on the floor, whimpering like the coward he was. My friends Eddie and Paul had shown up by then, probably tipped off by Rachel. They stood in the doorway, watching in stunned silence. "Get him out of here," I said flatly. As they dragged him away, I turned back to Lily. She was crying, mascara running down her face. For the first time since I met her, I felt absolutely nothing. "Get your coat," I told her. "We're leaving." The ride home was dead silent except for Lily's occasional sniffles. I kept my eyes on the road, gripping the wheel tightly. "Jack," she finally whispered, her voice trembling. I didn't answer. "Please, Jack, just let me explain." "It was a mistake." I wasn't thinking.
I
love you." That word, love, felt like a knife to the gut. "Love," I said, my voice calm but venomous. "You don't love me, Lily. You love the attention, the excitement,
The thrill of sneaking around.
but me? I'm just your safety net, the guy you run back to when you're done playing your little games." She sobbed harder. "That's not true. It didn't mean anything. I was stupid, selfish, but it didn't mean anything." I slammed on the brakes, pulling the car over to the side of the road. "It didn't mean anything?" I repeated, turning to face her. "You destroyed our marriage, Lily. You betrayed me in the worst way. And you're telling me it didn't mean anything?" She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Jack, I'll do anything. Please, just give me a chance to fix this." "There's no fixing this," I said coldly. "You made your choice. Now you get to live with it." Instead of driving home, I took a detour. Lily noticed immediately. "Where are we going?" she asked, her voice laced with fear. "You'll see," I said, not even looking at her. 10 minutes later, I pulled up in front of a modest suburban house. The porch light was on, and a car sat parked in the driveway. "Jack, what is this? Who lives here?" Lily asked, her voice laced with nervousness. I didn't answer. Instead, I got out, walked around to her side, and opened the door. "Get out," I said firmly. She hesitated, her eyes darting between me and the house. "Jack."
Get out.
Reluctantly, she stepped out, pulling her coat tightly around herself. I grabbed her arm, not roughly, but firmly enough to let her know she wasn't going anywhere, and led her to the front door. I knocked. After a few seconds, the door opened, revealing Claire Mason, Tim's wife. Her face shifted from confusion to concern. "Can I help you?" "Mrs. Mason," I said politely but firmly. "I'm Jack Holden. I used to work for your husband's company. May we come in?" She glanced at me, then at Lily, her confusion deepening. Is everything okay? Is Tim all right?" I let out a bitter smile. "Oh, Tim's fine. He just had a very eventful evening." Claire stepped aside cautiously and motioned for us to enter. Lily looked like she wanted to disappear, but I tightened my grip and walked her inside. "Please have a seat," Claire said, glancing nervously at Lily. "No, thank you," I replied. "This won't take long. My wife has something she needs to tell you." Lily's eyes widened in panic. "Jack, please don't. Tell her." I cut in sharply. Claire's gaze flicked between us, suspicion dawning on her face. "What's going on?" I looked at Lily, my expression cold and unwavering. "Go ahead, Lily. Tell her what you were doing tonight. Or, do you need me to do it for you?" Lily's lower lip trembled. I say it," I barked. "I was sleeping with your husband," she blurted out, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking." Claire's face went pale, her eyes narrowing into slits. "How long?" she asked, her voice low and dangerous. Lily hesitated, but I wasn't going to let her escape the truth. "Tell her, Lily. The truth. All of it. For years," she whispered, barely audible. Claire let out a bitter laugh, shaking her head. "For years," she repeated. 4 years of lies." She turned to me, fury and pain etched into her face. "And you just found out tonight?" I nodded. "Walked in on them at the office party." For a moment, the room was silent. Then Claire stood up, walked over to Lily, and slapped her so hard she nearly fell over. "You filthy!" Claire spat. "You can have him." I don't want that cheating bastard anymore. After we left Claire's house, I drove Lily to her sister's place. She was a wreck, sobbing and begging me to reconsider the entire way. You don't have to do this, Jack, she pleaded. We can work through this. We can fix it. I kept my eyes on the road. My voice was quiet but firm.
No, Lily.
You broke it, and some things can't be fixed. When we arrived, I didn't bother helping her with her bags. Instead, I handed her the house keys. Don't come back until tomorrow afternoon, I told her. By then, I'll be gone. Jack, please, she sobbed. Goodbye, Lily. I turned to leave, but stopped for one last thing. I reached into my pocket and tossed something at her. Her panties. The same one she had left behind in Tim's office. They hit her square in the face before falling to the ground. She broke down completely as I drove away. I returned home just as morning broke, packing the last of my things. It felt strange, like walking through the ruins of a life that no longer belonged to me. The pictures on the walls, the lingering scent of her perfume. Everything was familiar, yet none of it felt real. I packed quickly, unwilling to spend another second in that place. But before I left, I grabbed one last thing. Our wedding photo. Not out of sentimentality. I took it because I didn't want her to have it. The divorce proceedings started almost immediately. True to my word, I made her a deal. Split the assets evenly, no fight, no fuss. On one condition, she didn't contest the divorce, and I wouldn't drag her name through the mud with adultery charges. She agreed. She had no choice. She knew I had enough witnesses and evidence to ruin her completely. As for Tim, I kept my other promise. I filed a lawsuit against him for alienation of affection. It's an old law, but still enforceable in some states, and it was designed for situations like this. I didn't care about money. I just wanted to humiliate him. The lawsuit made headlines. VP of Mason Industries sued by former employee for adultery. The board wasn't thrilled about the scandal. Within weeks, Tim was forced to resign to spend more time with his family. Oh, and his family? That didn't last long either. Claire divorced him, took the house, the kids, and a hefty chunk of his savings. The last I heard, Tim was living in a one-bedroom apartment, unemployed, drowning in alimony and child support. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. Lily tried to move on, but she quickly learned that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Word of her affair spread like wildfire, thanks to a few strategic conversations I had with mutual friends. She lost more than a husband. She lost her reputation. Her family, once so supportive, was disgusted by her actions. Her friends stopped returning her calls. The dream life she took for granted?
Gone. Just like that.
She reached out to me a few times, begging for forgiveness. I made a mistake, Jack.
I'm so sorry.
I'll never stop loving you. I never responded. I didn't need to. It's been a year now. The pain hasn't disappeared completely, but it's dulled into something manageable. I'm in therapy, working through the anger and betrayal. But honestly, knowing they both got what they deserved helps. People ask if I'll ever trust anyone again. The truth is, I don't know. But I do know this. I'll never settle for less than I deserve again. Lily destroyed the life we built together. But in doing so, she gave me something I didn't realize I needed. A second chance. As for her, she gets to live with the consequences of her choices every single day. And that's a punishment I wouldn't trade for anything.